Tonight, a parking lot dispute turned violent. Sarnia police released video of the confrontation, which led to an attempted murder charge. Plus, demolition deemed necessary. The remaining Kent Brewery buildings knocked down after weekend fires.
This building doesn't deserve this. It's one of the most historical sites in the city.
And shared goals.
It was just a great fit, and we're glad to be involved.
A hockey legend giving back to his hometown hospital.
CTV News with Carlyle Fiset.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Sarnia police have laid an attempted murder charge after an altercation from this past weekend. They've also released a video which they say shows the moment the suspect ran over the victim multiple times. With more on the investigation, here's Jerry Dewan.
Sarnia police obtained video which they blurred showing a vehicle backing onto a grass median and hitting a 40-year-old man the driver had been arguing with.
We can see that after the victim is struck and run over, the vehicle stops and the accused then drives forward again over the victim and flees the area.
Sarnia police say the incident is part of an ongoing dispute between residents of this townhouse complex on Afton Drive just south of London Road. Jameson says the way the car moves indicates the driver's intent to strike the victim as he circled around the vehicle.
He went behind the vehicle and up on the lawn above the curb of that area as a verbal argument continued, at which point the vehicle can be seen moving and accelerating quickly for the amount of distance that was there with the apparent intent of striking the victim.
Police say just after midnight on Saturday, the same vehicle drove into the Co-op townhouse complex and struck an e-bike.
The same accused got out of their vehicle and approached the entrance with a pipe in his hand, being used as an apparent weapon. The victim in the case did not exit his residence and agreed to any type of confrontation that was being proposed.
21-year-old Hayden Leach Forte has since been arrested and faces a number of charges, including one count of attempted murder. Leach Forte has had a bail hearing and remains in custody.
In no instances is this type of retribution or this type of action against another person warranted.
The victim's injuries were described as serious but not life-threatening. In Sarnia, Jerry Dewan, CTV News.
Provincial police say they've arrested 5 people through a robbery investigation in Middlesex Centre. According to OPP, officers were called to this business on Highbury Avenue North last night. They say the 5 suspects were arrested there. According to police, they're all from the Toronto area, each charged with robbery and mischief, with court appearances scheduled for next month. The last of the Kent Street Brewery buildings on Ann Street in London were demolished today. The demo job had already been approved by council, made more urgent by a pair of fires this weekend. With more, here's Brent Lale.
The facade of the former Kent Brewery came crashing down.
This building doesn't deserve this. It's one of the most historical sites in the city.
The leveling by excavator came after a pair of fires over the weekend. 4 engines and an aerial truck responded Sunday morning, just 2 days after crews were called there on Friday.
Under the circumstances of the building planned to be demolished, we did bring in our fire prevention investigator with their thoughts. There was no investigative value to continue to look at this.
Heritage advocate Anna Maria Velastro expressed disappointment when looking at what has become of the property. She fought for years to preserve the brewery and the former brewmaster's house, but council ultimately allowed York Developments to demolish the building with a promise to preserve some of the heritage in a new high-rise planned for the site. Sunday, CTV News witnessed a person stealing copper from the property.
If you're homeless and you need a warm place, like, can you blame them for breaking into an empty building? So the city really needs to protect the heritage buildings that are being left to rot But I feel really sad about the Camp Brewery because it really deserved to be protected.
This vacant building is now gone, but others remain around the city. Platoon Chief Gary Mossberger warns against entering any derelict properties.
You could have floorboards that are out, goes right down into the basement, railings that aren't no longer part of a staircase. So there's lots of hazards that could be there.
Before the historic building came down, Valastro got one last look.
It's sad and pathetic, and it shouldn't happen. This shouldn't happen.
Brent Lale, CTV News.
Good evening. We're dealing with a fair amount of cloud cover, and we've had some light precipitation in parts of Midwestern Ontario. We're sitting at our high for the day in London at -1. It's -2 in Mount Forest and KW, and 0 to +1 along the shoreline of Lake Huron and near +1 near Lake Erie. -5 to -6, dealing with some wind chills out there. Tonight it's going to feel cold with those winds out of the southwest. However, wind chills approaching around -8 to -9. As we take a look at our satellite radar, we do have some light flurries coming off of Georgian Bay. The rest of the region is quiet. We had some breaks in the cloud cover towards London late this afternoon, but the cloud cover will be filling back in. Coming up, I'll take you through the forecast. A wintry mix on the way as we head into tomorrow with some accumulating snow in parts of Midwestern Ontario. I'll take you through the timing, and we'll look at a cold blast of air coming in before the week is through. I'll have your local weather details in just a few minutes.
Thanks very much, Julie. A portion of Highbury Avenue North has reopened following a crash early this morning. Police had closed the road between Ilderton and Plover Mills for the two-vehicle collision. They say one driver was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and there's been no word on any potential charges. London police say they're looking for a woman they say robbed a store at knife point. Police say it happened near Richmond and Fanshawe Friday. They say this woman pulled out a knife demanding cash from a worker. No injuries were reported. The suspect is described as a white woman in her 20s, about 5'6", 120 pounds, with long brown hair. A father returned to the witness stand today testifying about the days surrounding his young son's death after spending time at a home daycare. As Nick Paparella reports, the father wanted to get police involved as soon as possible to get to the bottom of what happened to his son.
It's the second week that Kent McClellan has spent on the stand testifying about the circumstances surrounding the death of his 15-month-old son, Nathaniel. After being rushed to hospital with a head injury in October of 2015, he said he wanted answers. I just wanted my son to survive. I prayed for my little boy. I wanted the police involved to find out what happened. Days later, the boy would be taken off of life support. Under cross-examination from the defense, McClellan said over time, with no arrests in the case, he wanted police to look closer at the accused, Megan Van Hoof. The court has heard the toddler was at her home daycare in Strathroy on the day in question. I just knew that something had happened with Megan. He thought it was intentional, saying, something happened with Megan Van Hoof for my son to be killed. He continued, I don't think she threw him down the stairs. I had a thought of Megan Van Hoof hurting Nathan. Police would investigate the incident for several years before eventually charging the 46-year-old Van Hoof with manslaughter. She has pled not guilty. McClellan later testified he always tried to keep the police investigation active, saying, I wanted justice for my son. I wanted charges. He added, the worst would be not knowing what happened to my little boy. The lengthy trial resumes this week. Nick Paparella, CTV News.
A recent survey suggests as many as 4 in 5 Canadians have been scammed in the last year, either online or by phone. It's adding up to a widespread belief that crime is up across the country. However, as Adrian Gabriel reports, the data doesn't necessarily back that up.
From brazen smash and grab jewelry store robberies across the Greater Toronto Area to jarring shootings linked to South Asian organized crime in Surrey, BC, video of violent acts across the country are in part stoking fears and shaking the confidence of Canadians.
Exceedingly alarming videos of people breaking into jewelry stores with sledgehammers and liquor store grabs, etc. That fuels the fear in people. But the reality is, it's not as bad as they think.
These new numbers from from Angus Reid are providing a fresh snapshot of public perceptions, with a growing number of people suggesting that crime has been increasing in their communities. Multiple major crime categories are down in some of Canada's largest cities. In Ottawa, both homicides and shootings have decreased year over year. 2025 marked the fewest homicides in Calgary in the last decade. Assaults and robberies were down in Vancouver last year when compared to 2024.
Perception versus reality are often two different things, but what's really important here is that people don't feel safe.
And what the latest data shows is that people feel they're at a higher risk of being on the receiving end of a violent crime. Those public feelings may have been formed over time, regardless of what year-end data actually shows. In 2022, auto thefts were at record highs. Home invasions linked to stolen cars led to one Toronto cop suggesting that residents leave their keys at their front door to avoid confrontations with intruders, further fanning the flames of fear.
Much of that based on a very high-profile coverage of some very dynamic and exceedingly alarming videos.
Another concern raised publicly, repeat violent offenders. Last year, the federal government introduced legislation to tighten bail reforms. That bill is still making its way through Parliament. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Toronto.
The Prime Minister is heading to China this week. A mission, he says, is about rebuilding ties with one of the world's most powerful nations. Trade and security will be in focus, as well as sectors like canola, pork, and seafood, which have been hit with tariffs. Abigail Beeman reports.
Expect progress on so-called irritants, say Canadian government sources, but not an elimination of tariffs. Canada has been hammered by tariffs on canola, pork, and seafood, which China levied in response to Canadian duties on Chinese EVs. Government officials bill the trip as important in the long game as Canada tries to diversify trade.
Only less than 5% of our commodities trade goes to China. I think that's mostly about politics rather than substance. But the idea is to try and reestablish a good relationship with China. And
former Prime Minister Jean Chrétien was in Beijing last week. The Prime Minister's parliamentary secretary and Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs visited last month.
This has been a building block process. The trip in and of itself is an important stepping stone. I'm confident there will be outcomes and deliverables.
Cody Blois will be back for this trip. Carney also bringing 5 ministers and newly Liberal floor crosser Michael Ma.
There's so many challenges with China, and we have to be careful not to become strategically dependent. Pragmatic engagement is fine. Diplomatic amnesia would be a mistake.
Canadian officials concede there will always be areas Canada and China can work together on, and others we cannot. A coalition of human rights groups issued a letter to the Prime Minister ahead of the trip, urging Mark Carney to put human rights at the center of the relationship.
We haven't had a kind of a coordinated strategy in terms of dealing with China on the human rights, on the repression, and on the foreign interference. I think it's about time we express this.
The Prime Minister leaves for Beijing Tuesday. After China, he heads to Qatar for a bilateral visit focused on trade, followed by the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Residents in a neighborhood just outside St. Thomas say they're relieved after a home was put up for sale after a swastika appeared on its lawn. The property on Centennial Avenue is listed for $650,000. Neighbors had complained last September after a hate symbol was mowed into the front lawn, saying it had been there for at least a week. The couple who own the home face multiple charges, including inciting hatred.
It's great to see him gone and bring peace to the neighborhood, because we don't need any of that kind. I know the last part of the Second World War, came over as an immigrant, so we don't need any of that. That's just, I don't know, really hard to explain.
When you're dealing with individuals who may have a different thought process along those lines, the anxiety is more along the lines for my kids, my children, and just for the neighborhood in general. We always want good neighbors is what we're looking for, and hopefully that's what we continue to get.
A tie vote at City Hall almost derailed an affordable housing project's construction by the Cross Cultural Learners Centre. With more on the issue in dispute, here's Daryl Newcomb.
A dispute over 2 words in the Development Charges Act brought the Cross-Cultural Learner Centre to City Hall, appealing a bill for a 24-story affordable housing project in the Old East Village.
We've never contemplated that the Doorway to Dreams project would not qualify for a full exemption.
CCLC appealed city staff's decision to only exempt $1.4 million in development charges for 75 affordable units and bill the agency $3.1 million in development charges on the market rent units. Staff argued the DC Act only permits full exemptions for nonprofit agencies whose, quote, primary objective is housing.
The primary or the main objective of the organization is why the development wasn't passed.
The agency argued that housing is a critical part of settlement services for newcomers to Canada, and 90% of its capital assets are housing.
I'm convinced that, given the discussion we've heard today, the primary objective for CCLC is housing.
A motion to support staff and dismiss CCLC's complaint divided councillors.
Motion fails 3-3.
That tie vote and the ambiguity it created for the project raised a lot of eyebrows in council chambers and may have prompted a couple council members to change their votes. A follow-up motion to approve the full exemption prompted several councillors to explain why their positions would be changing, despite concerns about setting a precedent for future disputes.
I view housing maybe more on permanency side. I think with settlement services, a lot of it's more on a more temporary basis.
Motion carries 6-0.
Mayor Josh Morgan will speak to the housing minister about clarifying the Development Charges Act by explaining what a nonprofit's primary objective is.
$3 million decision based on the interpretation of 2 words in the Act is not the greatest position to be in.
Council will make a final decision about the exemption January 20th. Daryl Newcomb, CTV News.
Hospital leaders in Kincardine have recruited the man who scored one of the most famous goals in Canadian hockey history, supporting their fundraising campaign. And with more on their ultimate goal, here's Scott Miller.
I'm very convinced that without the Kincardine Hospital, I probably would be dead today.
The man who scored the most important goal in Canadian hockey history was born in the middle of a Bruce County snowstorm and was taken to Kincardines Hospital via horse-drawn sleigh by his grandparents that night. 82 years later, the Bruce County native who was raised in nearby Lucknow is giving back to the hospital that brought him into this world by becoming an honorary healthcare ambassador for the Kincardine Hospital's ambitious fundraising campaign that will modernize and nearly triple the size of the aging healthcare facility.
When this came up, it was just a great fit. And we're glad to be involved, I'll tell you that.
Kincardines Hospital Foundation has raised nearly $13 million of their $18 million goal to upgrade and expand the community's emergency and imaging departments while adding Bruce County's first MRI machine. It's part of a $79 million hospital redevelopment that started in 2018 and recently added a CT scanner. Hospital staff hope Henderson's name recognition and passion for his former home region will help push them past their lofty fundraising goal.
It's so important because Paul is local to our community. He holds our community dear, and that's important to us. And we are so grateful and thankful that the 2 of them have joined the campaign.
Not only have Henderson and his wife Eleanor put their names and dollars behind the campaign, they'll be immortalized inside the hospital renovation with the Paul and Eleanor Henderson Quiet and Comfort Lounge, a place for physicians and family members to privately discuss loved ones' diagnoses.
Especially for people that are hurting. That's what we've thought. We'd really like to have a place that, when you got somebody in the hospital, you know whether they're going to live or not, and you could go into this room.
Henderson says he's ready to do whatever he can to get Kincardine over its $18 million fundraising goal. He says he visits back home religiously, and Bruce County still holds a special place in his and his wife's hearts, and always will.
I'm very proud of it. When people ask me about it all the time, I'm quick to tell them where I came from. A lot of great memories.
In Bruce County, Scott Miller, CTV News.
When we come back, the anxiety in the Iranian community as the world watches and the death toll climbs in their homeland. Plus, a local soccer league taking action, supporting a school breakfast club.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We begin tonight with Ontario's latest.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. ctvlondon.ca, your home for news.
Welcome back. Iranian officials are cracking down on protesters 3 weeks into demonstrations. Human rights groups say more than 500 people have been killed, while the regime in power blocks internet and cell phone access. With the latest, here's Mike Couture.
It's a daily struggle. With communications to Iran cut off, Iraj Avahani can't reach his siblings in the northeastern part of the country. Even more concerning, his nieces and nephews have gone missing.
You cannot imagine what's going on, and if the phone, they said, okay, he's dead or he's in the jail. We hope he's in the jail.
The hope is that his brother or sister won't have to visit a makeshift morgue to search for the body. U.S.-based rights group HRANA says it has verified the death of more than 500 protesters.
The repression the regime is using to quell the dissent, to basically stop people from standing up for their basic rights. The repression we're seeing is increasing every year, and I think we're at a breaking point.
Monday, state TV aired footage showing massive crowds at pro-government rallies right across the country. Iranian authorities are accusing both Israel and the U.S. of having a direct role in the political unrest. Iran's foreign minister says his country is ready for talks with the U.S., but is also fully prepared for war. Trump's spokesperson says he's ready to talk while keeping military options on the table.
What you're hearing publicly from the Iranian regime is quite differently from the messages the administration is receiving privately, and I think the president has an interest in exploring those messages.
Meanwhile, back in Ottawa, members of the Iranian-Canadian community can do little but send support.
And all they asking for freedom to choose to how to live, how to wear, what to eat, and what they do in their life.
Prime Minister Mark Carney has condemned the killing of protesters and urged Iran to allow for freedom of expression and peaceful assembly without fear of reprisal. Mike Couture, CTV News, Ottawa.
Here in London, members of the local Iranian community are speaking out, calling for leaders around the world to intervene. Lauren Stallone reports.
It's been very hard.
4 days. That's how long activist Fiset Zardosht and many other Iranian Canadians have gone without speaking to loved ones back home.
I have my father who is living in Tehran.
The regime has shut down all of the communications throughout the whole country.
This comes amid ongoing large-scale anti-government protests in Iran that have left hundreds dead.
With the news that they were actually sometimes shooting the buildings, like people that are standing and just watching, and all of these, you can't be sure that they can't be like your family members.
This is very important for us at this point to be their voice and make sure the board can hear them and see them, so that the regime cannot continue this massacre in silence.
Zardosht says the past few days have been difficult, but she refuses to be silent.
I have to stand for my people. I have to be their voice because they don't have anybody else. I don't want their voice to be silenced, so I have to be strong.
Now she is calling on the United States to step in.
We are calling for President Trump to please help Iranian and help just to finish this brutality that the regime has been doing.
Well, U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened to intervene. It is unclear what that looks like or when it will happen. Lauren Stallone, CTV News.
Members of a local soccer league are turning goals into meals. They're donating thousands of dollars, supporting student nutrition programs at a London school. With more, here's Rita Ismail.
I'd like to present this check.
A $2,500 donation aimed at making sure no child goes hungry during the school day. The Middlesex Masters Soccer League presented the check to St. Pius X Catholic School, supporting its lunch and snack program for students in need.
Well, it's a game changer. It allows us to top up a nutrition program that we already have in place, and we feed all of our students with it. So some students will come without snacks, and then others will come, and we're able to provide a little bit more nutritional value to their lunches.
The initiative was sparked by growing concerns around food insecurity in local schools, especially among younger students.
Schools seem to be suffering with proper, healthy, nutritious snacks for the students, especially at the formative years, which is something we really want to gear for, is regarding giving healthy food for the formative kids from JK all the way up to grade 5 and 6 type of thing, so that they have something healthy during the day.
The idea gained momentum with support from the school board, highlighting just how widespread the need has become.
This is crucial because all of our schools could benefit from this program, and we have students who are in need. And the biggest part is that if we could provide this for all of our schools, we would. Unfortunately, we can't. So this is why the sustainability, when we have partners in our community to continue this program, is very, very important.
The donation was voted on by league members as a way to give back to the community. Organizers say the goal is awareness and hope to encourage more partnerships to support school-based nutrition programs. Rita Ismail, CTV News.
Saying hello and welcome back to Julie Atchison on the desk with me now. Coming back to some milder conditions here as we get into mid-January after a deep freeze earlier in the month that you, I think, missed. But things are a little milder now. It could get messy, it sounds like.
Yeah, we have a bit of a roller coaster ride. So we're going to see some milder conditions, as you mentioned, over the next couple of days. And then we're back into the deep freeze. So if you're hoping for some more typical January weather, by this weekend, we'll be right back into it. Today, our high -1, our low -5. Today was fairly quiet. We did have overcast conditions until we hit just before sunset. We got some breaks. -2 right now. The pressure's at 101.7 and the winds have briefly eased off. We do have a weak disturbance mid-level off to the north, and we have some light flurries just coming off Georgian Bay. So a little bit of light precipitation moving through the Bruce Peninsula over the last few hours. Overcast conditions across the rest of southern Ontario with just a few breaks, as I mentioned. Now we are watching some energy in through the southern prairies, and that's going to dive in for tomorrow. Now the winds will continue out of the southwest, which will push temperatures above the freezing mark over the next couple of days. So with the temperatures coming up and this little weak wave coming in, we could see some mixing. It'll be calm overnight, cloudy, about a 40% chance of some light flurries, possibility of some light freezing drizzle in through parts of Grey and Bruce County. In London overnight, we'll drop down to about -2, although the probability is just 30%, so not expecting really anything at the surface. As we head out 24 hours to start, you can see here's the mixing that will be coming in tomorrow. So in the morning, Midwestern Ontario, you'll pick up some light precipitation, generally areas in through northern Huron, Perth to Grey Bruce, potential for a bit of mixing. It'll start with some light snowfall, as you can see, but near that lake shore, that's where we could see that rain-snow mix. And then as we head into the afternoon. Now, London just overcast through the morning. By the afternoon, we could see a little bit of light precipitation develop. This is not a big system with the main activity to the north, and about 2 to 4 centimeters in through parts of southern Grey County and the Bruce Peninsula. The rest of the region just overcast and dreary through the day, and again we could see a little bit of precipitation at the surface, and with temperatures coming in 2 to 3 degrees in the afternoon, that's where we'll see the mixing. Wednesday will start on the mild side, and then by Wednesday afternoon into the evening, the cold air starts to come in. So we have a lobe of cold Arctic air that will arrive, and that will take us into Thursday with falling temperatures, flurries and snow squalls, and that will set up for a very bitterly cold weekend with some wind chills. And yes, back into the January deep freeze. You can see as we head into Wednesday evening, we'll be back into lake effect flurries. Now across the country, we have some warmth out west. The cold air remains bottled up and through the Northwest Territories and Nunavut. However, the rest of southern Ontario is experiencing the mild conditions, and we do have a bit of a wintry mix moving through the Maritimes tonight. On the mild side, as I mentioned, tomorrow overcast in the morning, breeze out of the southwest, bit gusty at times as we head into the afternoon, and the forecast high 3 degrees. So as we put it together for you over the next 7, chance of a rain snow mix in the afternoon, and then on a Wednesday, possibility of that rain and snow, but afternoon evening flurries. Now that 3 degrees will likely be reached overnight. Early in the day, the temperature will start to fall, and then we're down to -11. It's going to be very cold on a Thursday. You're going to feel that chill for sure. -8 the high. Snow squalls possible, which would lead to some accumulation. -4 for your Friday with a chance of nighttime snow, and we have snow on the way Saturday. Likely 2 to 4 centimeters Saturday into Sunday. -7 as we head into Sunday. Midwestern Ontario, 2 to 4 centimeters on the way for tomorrow. The cold air will arrive as we head into Thursday with a high of just -10. And yes, Carlyle will be back into flurries and snow squalls as that cold air pours over Lake Huron once again. We're back into the, as I mentioned, the deep freeze, some frigid temperatures with overnight lows dropping into the -teens.
All right, Julie, thanks very much. Still ahead, a fearful outlook for Canadian finances. The new numbers painting a challenging picture for 2026.
We have just kicked off the biggest and best contest for 2026. It's Pure Country 93's Big Ticket for a Year. Your chance to score a pair of tickets to every single country show coming to the London area for an entire year. Hardy, Bailey Zimmerman, Rock the Park. You could be there. Be listening for keywords every single weekday at 8:40 and 4:40. Good luck.
A new survey suggests many in Ontario are concerned for their finances heading into 2026, keeping up with household expenses and covering bills. With more on those concerns, here's Pat Foran.
If you're feeling stressed about your finances, you're not alone. Many people are concerned about the rising cost of living heading into the new year.
The salary is not sufficient to cover the basic necessity now.
I'm barely paycheck to paycheck for years. Not a good place to be, but I think it's pretty common.
According to the MNP Canadian Consumer Debt Survey, 71% expect the cost of living to worsen, 59% believe the overall economy will worsen, and 51% believe Canada's relationship with the U.S. will also get worse.
There's a lot of negativity and pessimism out there.
Whether it's paying your rent or mortgage, shopping for a new car, or buying groceries, the year ahead brings with it mounting financial challenges. For many, it's not one part of the economy, it's all of it.
Whether it's interest and inflation, housing, job market, overall economy, the cost of goods.
The Credit Counseling Society says one area of growing concern is consumers using credit cards to buy groceries and pay their monthly bills.
We're seeing more and more people that are using their credit to cover off those little necessities in life. And the problem is that's a bad cycle to be in. At some point, you run out of credit and you don't have cash. What do you do?
The survey also found 59% believe housing affordability will deteriorate, and 62% are concerned about rising poverty and inequality. Younger Canadians are feeling the most financial pressure.
Many of them have just left school. They have this large student loan debt. They've accumulated credit card debt. They're looking at the cost of housing as they start their financial journey into adulthood, and they do feel stuck.
Anyone having trouble paying their bills and getting further into debt is advised to get help. Credit counseling with a debt professional is free, confidential, and can let you know your options before your situation gets worse. Pat Foran, CTV News.
Stellantis officials have announced plans to phase out plug-in hybrid programs in North America. They say because of changing market conditions, they're discontinuing the 2026 plug-in models of the Chrysler Pacifica, Jeep Grand Cherokee, and Jeep Wrangler. The new production direction comes amid policy shifts on both sides of the border, changing course on electric vehicles. As mentioned earlier, the Prime Minister's China visit is expected to cover concerns in the Canadian canola industry. As Alison Bamford reports, there's hope on the prairies these meetings prove a turning point.
This time of year, Ryan Scragg should be hauling grain. Instead, he's pushing snow and wondering what he's going to plant in the spring.
The problem is right now is that nothing pencils out to a profit.
Canola and peas usually make up about 70% of what Scragg grows, but both crops face punishing tariffs from China that have pulverized market prices.
Right now, all of Scragg's bins are full, but normally for this time of year, he said at least 20% of his grain would already be sold.
I'm waiting as long as I can. At some point, there's just no more option of waiting.
Many face the same challenges, now clinging to hope that upcoming talks between Prime Minister Mark Carney and China's president will progress trade negotiations.
What we're hoping to see now is that we can translate some of that engagement into action on these issues.
Carney's visit to China is planting optimism ahead of spring seeding, but farmers still mindful that these tariffs were put in place last March and removing them takes time.
I don't see them inking a trade deal or something that immediately fixes it, but I think doing anything is better than doing nothing.
For now, farmers like Scragg will weather the storm. He plans to cut back on canola and nearly drop peas altogether this spring, seeding a little bit of everything, hoping he can grow a profit. Alison Bamford, CTV News, near Prince Albert.
Canada's main stock index drove further into record territory today on strength in the basic materials sector. The TSX gained 262 points in New York. The Dow added 86. The Nasdaq up 63. The Canadian dollar gained 0.11 of a cent. On commodity markets, gold is up almost $114 an ounce. Oil added 38 cents a barrel. When we come back, promising prosperity in St. Thomas, the mayor's message with major projects in the works and what they mean for the community this year.
Who's Hungry London? Growing Chefs Ontario presents the return of Londonlicious, January 16th to February 8th. Spotlighting unique and delicious eats in the Forest City. Enter now at ctvlondon.ca for your chance to win dinner for two at one of the amazing restaurants.
The St. Thomas mayor held an event this weekend giving residents a chance for some FaceTime with their local elected leaders. Brent Lale has more on the city's biggest projects as 2026 gets going.
2026 kicked off with a bang in St. Thomas when PowerCo erected its first steel structure.
I'm keeping the names of all the people that said, oh, that'll never happen, right? Because I'm sorry, as you start putting up concrete and steel, it's really happening.
At his winter levee, Mayor Preston joked he's still waiting for an apology from all of those naysayers.
With Vianode also already under construction and building their new facility on Yarmouth Yards. The industrial side, Element 5 and their success across North America. There's some great industries in our community that are second to none.
But with big business comes the need for help from all levels of government.
When we announced PowerCo, I remember saying at the time, be careful what you wish for. And we've got a great wish come true. But with that, what you have to do is provide the infrastructure to support it.
Some 2026 projects include creating more daycare centers, providing transportation, and building housing.
You could look over my shoulder at Balaclava, now starting under construction, 78 more supportive housing units, which gives us an end to homelessness in our lifetime here in St. Thomas. Elman Wilson, and that project is now starting to move along, and that's a great deal of housing with Trullo, and the new subdivision being built up on Sandymount Hill. There's a lot going on in this community.
And when it comes to moving people, the province has renewed the regional bus service until 2030. It will continue to work on twinning Highway 3 to support PowerCo and Vianode.
When you take a look at London, it's growing. It's grown 40,000 people in the last few years. St. Thomas, exponential growth. We have to keep people moving and moving safely.
And in the short term, a major capital project is hoping to be completed this week. One of the most pressing questions the city has been getting is when will this intersection at Fairview and Talbot be open? There's been a delay in receiving the traffic lights. However, they are expected to arrive in the coming days, and the intersection could be open by the end of the week. Brent Lale, CTV News.
Air Canada officials say one of their crew members was locked in a cargo hold before a recent flight out of Toronto. In a statement, they say the incident was an accident and it happened last month before a flight from Toronto to New Brunswick. According to the statement, the plane doors inadvertently closed while a ground crew member was inside. The plane then left the gate before the issue was discovered, returning to the gate before it could take off, though, and no injuries were reported. Ontario government officials say they're considering banning certain procedures on cats and dogs, which animal experts have deemed medically unnecessary. The proposal outlines specific procedures that would no longer be allowed, like having cats declawed. It would also become illegal to debark a dog by operating on their vocal cords or cropping their ears. Government officials say this would not affect any procedures deemed necessary for the animal's well-being, and they're accepting feedback on the rule changes until February 5th. Tomorrow on CTV News, a milestone moment for a community addictions hub in Sarnia. Details on the potential impact in Lambton County tomorrow on CTV News at 6.
Stunning sunrise to share with you this evening. Thank you so much, Lynn, for your photo. Overnight wind chill close to a -8. You could see a wintry mix as we head into your Tuesday afternoon, evening. A blast of cold moving in for Thursday with the risk of snow squalls.
Canada's finance minister was in Washington today for a second day of meetings on trade and critical minerals. Federal government officials say the meetings involved G7 counterparts and other like-minded countries. According to the finance minister, Canada could help Europe move away from dependence on Chinese critical minerals, suggesting Canada should be moving forward with extraction and refining here in our country. Back in October, the federal government announced the first projects coming out of an alliance on critical mineral production, launched by G7 countries after hosting meetings in Alberta. Venezuela's opposition leader met with the Pope today at the Vatican. Maria Machado reportedly asked the pontiff to press Venezuelan officials to release political prisoners. She won the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize for her efforts promoting democracy. Pope Leo has called for human rights to be protected and for Venezuela to remain an independent country in the midst of its capture by American forces. There were plenty of Canadian highlights last night at the Golden Globes, headlined by Seth Rogen's big wins and an appearance by the stars of the streaming hit Heated Rivalry. With more, here's Andrea Case.
Nikki Glazer. With the state of the world as it is, Golden Globe host Nikki Glazer said what many people weren't thinking.
The Golden Globes, without a doubt, the most important thing that's happening in the world right now.
Comedian Wanda Sykes and actor Jean Smart were one of a few actors wearing a Be Good pin reflecting a commitment to speaking out against the actions of ICE.
Let's all do the right thing. I think everybody in their hearts knows what the right thing is to do, so let's do the right thing.
The 83rd Golden Globe Awards brought together the best in film and television, and this year, podcasting.
This is exactly how I pictured it. Snoop giving me the award. Thank you so much. Tiana Taylor.
A surprise win for one battle after another, supporting actor Tiana Taylor with a message to young people who look like her.
Our light does not need permission to shine. We belong in every room we walk into. Our voices matter, and our dreams deserve space. Thank you so much, everybody.
Accepting the award for the song Golden from the film K-pop Demon Hunters, EJ. She spoke about the rejection of her childhood dream of becoming a K-pop star.
This award goes to people who've had their doors closed at them, and that I can confidently say rejection is redirection. And so never give up. And it's never too late to shine like you were born to be.
And while some were surprised by their win, Timothy Chalamet openly admitted he wanted to win.
Well, my dad instilled in me a spirit of gratitude growing up. Always be grateful for what you have. It's allowed me to leave this ceremony in the past empty-handed, my head held high, grateful just to be here. But I'd be lying if I didn't say those moments didn't make this moment that much sweeter. For my parents, for my partner, I love you. Thank you so much.
And while they were not nominated this year in a room full of the biggest stars in Hollywood, the ones everybody wanted to see, the stars of the Canadian series Heated Rivalry, produced by Crave, a division of Bell Media, as is CTV.
Hi, moms. Hi, daughters.
Andrea Case, CTV News.
London's top stories.
We have breaking news tonight out of Ottawa. The latest on the
breaking news alerts.
I'm tracking an area of severe weather. It'll start.
And watch live.
A development now to a story from City Hall we brought you.
Download the CTV News app.
Welcome back. Finally tonight, bird watchers in Montreal say they're stumped trying to figure out how a feathered flyer from the other side of the Atlantic ended up in their neighborhood. With more on the theories, here's Christine Long.
January 7th, Sabrina Jacob was putting out her garbage when she saw a rare bird.
I watch birds, so I was like, I don't know this sound. So I just look up and I was like, well, I don't know this bird either. He came straight up in front of me for 2 seconds. I took the video.
As her video shows, it's a hardy little bird who usually lives in Europe, even as far north as Scandinavia.
I saw him every day since. I have beautiful pictures, yeah.
When she shared her videos of the bird, people started flocking for a glimpse of this European robin on this side of the Atlantic.
It's nice to see the bird. We love the bird, but it's not like a chase for us. It's more like spending time with the bird.
How did this robin come here? Bird behaviorist Joël Coutu wonders if proximity to the port isn't a coincidence.
So it's possible that he hitched a ride and crossed the Atlantic Ocean. Other possibilities is the weather conditions as well. Lately in Europe, we've had these cold fronts, and Paris has had snow, and so it's possible these northern winds sort of pushed him here. I doubt he was carried in a luggage in a plane and released here, and it's possible he's been here for a while. So he could have been here for weeks or months, and maybe he did come during migration in the fall.
Some birders said they never thought they would see a European robin.
C'est comme prendre 5 cafés en même temps.
It's like having 5 coffees all at once, says this birder, and he's in good company here.
It wasn't even on the list. It wasn't within the realm of a possibility.
During dark January days, Jacob's discovery has brought a lot of joy to this neighborhood.
Love, he makes it through the winter and he stays with us with the spring. I would love to.
Christine Long, CTV News.
That's it for us. Thanks for watching. For your latest local headlines, you can always head to our website. I'm back tonight with your late news at 11. Bye for now.